Hello, hello. I'm Yvette, and this is Bellamy. Welcome back to our channel, MS Unscripted, unapologetically Yvette. So today I thought I'd share a little bit about my diagnosis story. And I think I'm gonna do this in two parts just because um, it's kind of a long story. And I guess I'll do sort of a little prologue to it and say that a couple of years before I was diagnosed, so in 2012, I was driving home from Vegas and I was exhausted. And, I had a good time in Vegas. So it was okay for me to be a little bit tired, but this was exhaustion at a level beyond anything that I had experienced before. And so one of the things that ended up happening was I had to pull over several times. And literally, I tried to make it to gas stations or rest stops and that sort of thing to be someplace safe. But I couldn't always do that because this fatigue, extreme fatigue, would just come over me. And I would need to pull over right then and there because I was worried about being in an accident. I literally could not keep my eyes open. And so um, that was one of the instances that I look back on and say, oh, that wasn't a regular exhaustion or fatigue. That was something else. And so the following, let's see that, I think that was on a Saturday. So on Monday, when I went to work, and at that time I was serving as an AmeriCorps and I was at the Boys and Girls Club and I had mentees that I was working with. And I went in and I was, prepping some stuff for the rest of the week when I was going to be at the high school. And the the person who was over the program said, Yvette, you need to go home. And I said, no, I've got work that I need to get done. And she said, no, you need to go home. And I said, no, I'm back at the high school tomorrow. And so I want to get this paperwork done and get some stuff prepared. And she said, you do not look well. You need to go home. And I said, well, I can just push through for a couple of hours so that I can be ready for tomorrow. And she said, you're scaring the children. You look terrible. You do not look well. You are so pale. It's hard to tell that you're a person of color. You need to go home. And so I went to the restroom. I looked in the mirror. I said, oh my God. And I got in my car and I drove home. And, it's funny that we are able to associate a lot of the symptoms of living with MS with other things. So, because MS wasn't on my radar at all, I didn't think about it being something, like the things that I was experiencing. I didn't worry about it being something more severe or, something that would be concerning or impact my life the way MS has. I just thought, okay, I need to get some sleep. And then I had a couple of instances where my arm would lift by itself and I'd have to take the other hand and bring it back down. And I thought, man, I must have a pinched nerve. Every symptom that I experienced prior to the symptoms that actually sent me to get medical care were things that I could excuse away using something else. So then I'm sitting in a classroom and my students are working on an assignment. So I'm not standing in front of the classroom at this point. I'm at my desk. And I was, again, the exhaustion that sort of rolled over me was just this really intense, you must close your eyes right this moment kind of exhaustion. So I leaned back in my chair, leaned my head back, closed my eyes, and the room started to spin. And I'm like, crap. So I come back forward, I open my eyes, and I have diplopia, which is double vision. And so like oh man, this isn't good. Clearly this is not something that I can excuse away or fix myself. So I called my doctor's office and they could not get me in. They were packed and had already, they get an allotment of people who don't have an appointment, but that they squeeze in. Well, they were full of that. And so they said to go to urgent care. So I did. I went to urgent care. And urgent care didn't want to see me. And I said, well, I'm not leaving until you see me. And so they did. They did blood tests and they did sort of a physical exam. And they said, this is something neurological, which I knew that part. And they said, you need an MRI. So I said, okay. And so I went to the hospital, to the emergency room, and I walked in and said, I just left urgent care. They said that I need an MRI. Um, I don't know if you've been to an emergency room lately, but it's not usually that direct, just get what you need kind of thing anymore, right? There's just this sort of roundabout process to getting all of the things that you need. And so even though I walked in the door saying I needed an MRI, that wasn't what ended up happening. So I waited for a while and finally they called my name and they took me into the back area to draw my blood. And then they put me in a waiting room in the back. And I waited for a bit and there was this sort of sequence of events, this little this process that ended up happening where they would take me for a test and I would say, I don't need that. That's not what I'm here for. Now, blood work, they're always going to do, right? That there's not going to be any time that you go to an emergency room that they're not going to draw your blood. So that I completely expected. And obviously, that's what's supposed to happen, not a problem. But then they did a chest x-ray and I said, I'm not having any kind of pulmonary issues. I'm here for a neurological issue. I need an MRI. And they said, this is standard procedure. And I said, okay, because I mean, what are you going to do, right? And so then they put me back in that little room and I waited some more and then they came and got me and they said that they needed to do a CT scan. And although a CT scan is something that's appropriate in certain instances, in this instance, I knew I needed an MRI. And I said, I don't need a CT scan, I need an MRI. And they said, well, this is standard procedure. So we're gonna do this first. And so they did the CT scan and I got the results from that, which of course were inconclusive because that wasn't the exam that I needed. That wasn't the scan, the test that I needed. And so although I'm going through this fairly quickly, this is over the course of hours. I called my mom and told her what was going on. My mom was a registered nurse. She had been practicing for 40 years. I described what was going on to her, and she said that she would come to the emergency room and wait with me. And I mean, awesome, right? A registered nurse by your side as you're going through all of these experiences and things that you're not sure about. So I thought that was wonderful. And so I waited and I waited, and she didn't show up. Well, that story went just a little bit longer than I anticipated. So I am going to cut it off here and move the rest of it to the next video. So I hope that you are enjoying the story. I hope that you are finding some pieces of it that resonate, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and definitely share with anyone that you think can benefit from it. And we will see you in the next video.